Donald Trump loves a one-liner. He says he ended 8 wars in 8 months and that nobody else finishes what they start.
This is one of 8 wars that my administration has ended in just 8 months. We're averaging one a month. There is only one left.
It sounds like victory laps until you look at the Caribbean.
He has offered everything. He's offered everything. You're right. You know why? Because he doesn't want to around with the United States.
Troops, warships, F-35s, a carrier strike group steaming in, missiles paraded as anti-drug tools, and now airstrikes on boats that leave bodies in the water. Trump says he's stopping narco-traffickers. Critics say he's paving the way for regime change. Then Moscow shows up with transport planes, air defenses, even talk of cruise and ballistic missiles, and the language moves from counter-narcotics to great power standoff. Is this really a drug campaign or the opening act of a new war or a proxy fight between Washington and Moscow? Hello and welcome. You're watching Statecraft with me, Geeta Mohan. Trump boasts of ending wars, Armenia, Azerbaijan, India, Pakistan, Israel, Hamas, and more, while his second presidency has rebuilt the US muscle in the Caribbean. The official line: seize drugs, stop narco-terrorists, protect the homeland. The visible reality: carrier groups, special ops vessels, covert CIA authorizations, and repeated strikes that killed dozens. Russia answers with military flights to Caracas, weapons stock, and promises of help. So who is policing drugs and who is policing influence? Is the US fighting cartel boats, or are we watching two global powers test each other in America's backyard? Trump's slogan used to be "No New Wars." He shouted it, crowded it, and built an image of a commander who ends conflicts. Yet, here he is again, the biggest US military buildup in the Caribbean in decades, strikes at sea that leave bodies, and talk of seizing oil fields and toppling a government. The contradiction is stark and naked. A president who claims peacemaker status now presides over strikes, covert missions, and a massive forward posture. That tension between "I ended wars" and "I'm ready to start one" is the headline. It's not subtle, it's not small. The American display is unmistakable. Aircraft carriers, destroyers, amphibious ships, attack submarines, F-35s, B-52s, AC-130s, and MQ-9 drones, all amassed within reach of Venezuela. Bases and airfields in Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands show upgrades and activity. A floating base that carries special forces sits in the area. Ships capable of landing troops and helicopters have been seen. The message is a mix of threat and preparation, powerful enough to do harm, visible enough to be a signal. It is the kind of presence that changes calculations in capitals, in barracks, and in the minds of local commanders. The US says it is striking drug boats. The strikes are dramatic. Missile or air attacks on small vessels accused of smuggling cocaine and other narcotics. The operations killed dozens. Multiple strikes, multiple boats, and immediate headlines. The administration frames these as law enforcement at sea, a hard answer to a deadly flow of drugs into the United States of America. Critics call the strikes extrajudicial and question the evidence linking these boats to Maduro or to major cartels. When a country uses military firepower at sea and kills suspects without transparent legal process, it raises questions about proportionality, authority, and motive. Are we policing the narco trade or creating a pretext for pressure? Trump government has labeled Maduro a narco-terrorist and put a $50 million bounty on his head. Language matters. Narco-terrorist is not simply insulting. It is a legal and political categorization that justifies an extraordinary response in the eyes of policymakers. The bounty is a real escalator. It makes capture a priority and signals that removing Maduro is not only desirable but actionable. That rhetoric tightens the embrace between counter-narcotics policy and regime change strategy. blurring lines that used to be clearer before. This is not just about drugs. Venezuela sits on massive oil reserves and sits close to a vital canal and sea lanes. Control of energy resources and influence in Latin America are strategic prizes. China and Russia have been deepening ties with Caracas. The US sees that as an erosion of its backyard influence. That makes every naval move, every weapons deployment, and every diplomatic threat double as a play for long-term advantage. If the US is accused of seeking oil control, the optics of military strikes and fleet deployments only feed that narrative. This moment is a test of restraint and clarity. Is the mission truly about drugs, with force used sparingly and legally, or is the narco narrative a cover for a high-stakes power play meant to topple a government and grab influence in a resource-rich state?